There are growing concerns that Israel is intentionally targeting innocent people in their now multi-front war. And now some of the international doctors, including American doctors, are speaking out about the pattern of children in Gaza who are getting shot in the head. So you can actually read a lengthy piece written by one surgeon who has spent some time in Gaza. It's in the New York Times, titled 65 Doctors, Nurses, and Paramedics, What We Saw in Gaza. And in this op-ed, Dr. Feroz Sidwa, who's a trauma and general surgeon, details these experiences in Khan Yunis. He was in Khan Yunis for 2 weeks. And here's what he writes. Nearly every day I was there, I saw a new young child who had been shot in the head or chest, virtually all of whom went on to die, 13 in total. There's more. At the time, I assumed that this had to be the work of a particularly sadistic soldier located nearby. But after returning home, I met an emergency medicine physician who had worked in a different hospital in Gaza 2 months before me. I couldn't believe the number of kids I saw shot in the head, I told him. To my surprise, he responded, yeah, me too, every single day. So Sidwa actually spoke to 65 other healthcare workers. 44 of them said that they had seen cases of preteen children shot either in the head or the chest. And out of the 65 individuals who he spoke to, 57 of them were actually willing to go on the record to talk about what they experienced in Gaza. One of those doctors is Dr. Mohammed Rasul Abu Nuar, who's a bariatric and foregut surgeon. This is a quote from that individual. So one night in the emergency department, over the course of 4 hours, I saw six children between the ages of 5 and 12, all with single gunshot wounds to the skull. There's more. Another doctor by the name of Irfan Galaria said, our team cared for about 4 or 5 children ages 5 to 8 years old. They were all shot with single shots to the head. They all presented to the emergency room at the same time. They all died.
Israel has become what they most despised. So shooting children in the head. I mean, does it get worse than that? Is there a form of terrorism that's worse than that? So now you like collateral damage? What do you mean? You shot him in the head. That's not, oh man, shrapnel flew into the wrong side of the street and killed one kid by accident. No, dozens and dozens of kids shot in the head by monsters, total monsters. So guys, why has this happened? It's not because of religion or ethnicity. It happens every time in humanity. When you have someone who is powerless, they get crushed, and then they try to fight back in some way, and the occupying power then uses that as an excuse to do horrible things to the people that they were abusing in the first place and occupying in the first place. This has happened throughout history, different religious, different ethnic backgrounds, hundreds of times. But Israel can't see that they have become the powerful and that they have become the abusers and the oppressors and the occupiers. They have become the thing that they feared and loathed the most. And so if I know, because they're in such a blind, biased rage, and they think that they are the tiny little David fighting against the mighty Palestinians because they have lost their minds. You'd have to be institutionalized. That you'd have to be a different level of crazy to think that the Palestinians are oppressing the Israelis. You're a lunatic if you believe that, but you can't talk them out of it. Well, oh, we're the victims. We had to shoot their children in the head. And by reporting it, you're being mean to us. You should just let the government of Israel shoot kids in the head and shut up about it. Otherwise, we're gonna say, you're the hateful person. No, that's not working anymore at all. No, the people who advocate for the slaughter and annihilation of Gaza, you are deeply immoral. The other guys are not the bad guys, you're the bad guys. And if that breaks your heart, good. You should live in shame for what Israel's doing if you support it.
And for the children who managed to survive, the piece also gets into some details about what they are experiencing and how much they wish they weren't alive. So One child who had lost all of his family wished he had been killed too, saying, "Everyone I love is in heaven. I don't want to be here I don't want to be here anymore." Pediatric critical care doctor Tanya Haj Hassan said. It is so disgusting that we are aiding and abetting this, that the US government is funding this. This is what we're doing. It's really important for people to know that.
So in the last story we told you about Israel now shooting at UN peacekeepers and using them as human shields, reported in the New York Times. This is reported in the New York Times, corroborated over and over again. They have the documentation, they have the evidence. They write in to the White House, in that case it's about 100 US doctors. And they say, we have seen some of the worst crimes of our lifetimes. These atrocities are unspeakable. And they've already killed 1,000 Palestinian health workers because they're killing people in the ambulances. And now in Lebanon, they've started bombing ambulances again. 65 ambulances already knocked out by Israel. The people inside murdered. It's not collateral damage to hit an ambulance.
That's exactly right. Do you remember why Chelsea Manning was imprisoned and placed in solitary confinement and tortured? Do you remember why?
Well, one of the main things was the Apache helicopter video.
What was the Apache helicopter video?
So that's when US fired on Iraqis, if I remember right.
Yeah.
And so then they see ambulances arriving and healthcare workers arriving, and they murder them too.
That was a huge
That was
scandal.
us, by the way.
That was a huge scandal. That was a huge scandal, such a huge scandal that the US government was embarrassed by it and decided to rain terror on Chelsea Manning for leaking that information.
And by the way, you know who did that? The legendary saint, Barack Obama. At the very end, he pardoned her, right? But he tortured her, he detained her, he drove Edward Snowden out of the country, because if anyone tells you how evil the US government is being, they have to be chased to the end of the earth. They have to be captured, imprisoned, their liberties taken away. You know how many people that actually murdered those healthcare workers in the Apache helicopter video went to jail? 0. Do you know how many Israeli soldiers that have murdered people in ambulances in Gaza and Lebanon and have destroyed hospitals have gone to jail? 0. The ones that starved the babies, knocked out the incubators so that the newly born babies would die. How many of them have gone to jail? 0. Because in Israel, and by extension us, because we finance all of their war crimes, their crimes against humanity, museums will be built based on the horrors of what Israel is doing right now as we speak. And we financed all of it. And there'll be a whole special wing on America and our disgusting politicians who gave that monster Netanyahu standing ovation after standing ovation, blank check after blank check. And you think they don't know they're shooting the babies in the head? You think they don't know that it's not collateral damage? You think they don't know that they're grabbing land? That they, in the West Bank throughout the last 57 years, they have grabbed bigger and bigger chunks of land, put in lunatic settlers who believe that Jews are superior to everyone. And if anyone doesn't agree, they murder them and they drive them from their land and they steal it. It is not because they're Jewish. It is because power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. But we empower these lunatics to go, oh yeah, you guys are superior. Go kill them and take their land. Oh, because you're defending yourself. This is not defending yourself. And by the way, October 7th. So the guys who could blow up every pager and every walkie-talkie in Lebanon and knew exactly where Nasrallah was after he said he would sign the ceasefire. They knew exactly where it was. They know all of this incredible intelligence. They knew where every nuclear physicist in Iran was and murdered all of them. They know all of that, but golly gee, when they got handed this giant plan of Hamas to attack on October 7th, they just couldn't figure out how to stop it. And then, as Naomi Klein brilliantly writes about, oh, we are in mourning. We are the victims. So we're gonna have to go take a big chunk of Gaza, annihilate it first, then demand to occupy it. Meanwhile, kill people in the West Bank, take more of their land. Meanwhile, invade southern Lebanon, take more of their land. You see how we are defending ourselves. Oh, we are the tiny little victims. No, you're not. You're the monster Goliath now. And it breaks my heart and it should break your heart. If you enjoyed this video, that's because of our members. They make us independent, they make us strong, and they make us honest. Become a member today by hitting the join button below.